mythology has an answer to where the runes come from. In Havamal, the poem of Odin's wisdom from the Poetic Edda, stanzas 138 to 139, Odin says, Veit ek at ek hek vinga meiði ó nætr allar níu. Geiri undaður og gefin óðni, sjálfur sjálfum mer, og þeim meiði, mangi veit, hvers hann af rótum renn. Við hleyfi mig seldu nefið hornigi, njusta ek niður, nam ek upp rúnar, uppandi nam, fell ek aftur þaðan. I know that I hung on a wind-swept tree 9 long nights, wounded by a spear, and given to Odin, to myself, on that tree whose roots grow in a place no one has ever seen. No one gave me food and no one gave me drink. At the end, I peered down, I looked down, I took up the runes, screaming, I took them, and I fell then from there. But many cultures have a mythological explanation for where their writing system comes from. The Greeks did too. But if we look beyond the mythology to the historical facts, it's clear that the Roman, Greek, Phoenician, runic alphabets, etc., most of the alphabets used in the world, in fact, are all related. Now, this story is actually more complicated than it's often told. The Greek alphabet doesn't spring out of nowhere, and it isn't a direct adaptation of the Phoenician alphabet or abjad. What must have happened is that a Greek speaker or team of Greek speakers who knew Phoenician and the Phoenician alphabet well adapted it purposefully to Greek. This is probably in the 700s BC, perhaps a little bit earlier in the 800s BC. But we forget that before Athens standardized the alphabet in 400 BC, that's what we know now as the Greek alphabet, because it's what fraternities and sororities write their names in, there was a wide variety of different local variants of the Greek alphabet. And some of these actually look a lot more like the Roman alphabet or the runic alphabet. And in fact, we know that the Roman alphabet, the alphabet that we write English in today, is derived from one of these obscure Western variants of the Greek alphabet, where, for instance, instead of the letter for the sound of R being written like our Roman letter P, it's written with an extra bar like our Roman letter R, which comes from this variant. So when I suggest, as I often do, that the runes have an origin in a Greek alphabet, people are missing a couple things. They miss the fact that I'm saying a Greek alphabet and not the Greek alphabet that, Cairo or whatever writes its name in. But also the fact that from the 700s BC to 400 BC, and after that even in some parts of the Greek-speaking and Greek-influenced world, there were a lot of different Greek alphabets. So if we look at the letters in the oldest form that we know of the runic alphabet, the Elder Futhark, we see several letters that are very Greek-looking on the surface. The O looks like an omega, the L looks like a common regional variant of lambda, the B looks like a beta, the S looks like a common variant of sigma, the H looks like an eta, which if you know the Athenian Greek alphabet that was standardized, that's a vowel, but in a lot of Greek alphabets it actually stands for the consonant H, the H sound, which is of course what it comes to mean in the Roman alphabet. Now people often point to certain letters in the Futhark and say, well, they must have come from the Roman alphabet, and the two people most particularly point to are the R and the F. But again, there are variant Greek alphabets where the R looks like our R, and the F letter is present in many early variants of the Greek alphabet. It's called digamma, and it stands for a W sound. But, as in many other languages, such as German and the modern Scandinavian languages, W's became F in some Greek dialects and some languages that used a Greek alphabet. So it is possible that wherever exactly the chain of transmission happened between a Greek alphabet and the runic alphabet, a language used a F-like letter, digamma-like letter for a V sound, and this is what the Norse, not Norse, but the early Germanic-speaking peoples picked up as an F, as V and F are very closely related, and there's no phonemic V in early Germanic. So when people suggest that the runes come from the Roman alphabet, what I understand is some of the better justifications for this idea are A, geographical proximity. We know that Germanic-speaking peoples interacted with the Romans, obviously. The timeline is not awful because the first confirmed runic inscriptions are from the 100s AD. Certainly the Romans would be a people that the Germanic-speaking peoples would have been in contact with at that time. But there's also problems with it. For one thing, the Roman alphabet did not distinguish until the modern period, I'm talking like Renaissance and later, consistently between the vowel sound E, written with the letter I, and the consonant sound Y, which is a later derivation from the letter I. It also didn't distinguish between the vowel sound U, written with the letter U, and the consonant sound W, W. So it's interesting to note that the runic alphabets already in the 100s AD, when the Roman alphabet wasn't making this distinction, makes this distinction. There's a U rune versus a W rune. There's an I rune versus a Y rune, a J rune. And if you had derived this alphabet from the Roman alphabet, you would not expect those distinctions to be made. It's also strange that the order is so different, although there are explanations for this, or attempted explanations at this, including the idea that maybe a Germanic mercenary in the Roman army had learned a coded order of the letters, which is certainly intriguing. But also, it's just the sense to me that if you were adapting the Roman alphabet to write your language at a time when the Roman alphabet was so fixed and so standardized and so well known in Europe, why wouldn't you just borrow the Roman alphabet? Right, to me it's just strange. Why wouldn't you just import it wholesale? Why does it look so different? Why does it look so weird? So I'm suspicious about that. I'm also suspicious about just the fact that the earliest inscriptions, like the Vimosa comb, that which is, I would say, the earliest confirmed runic inscription from 160 AD from Denmark, it's too confident. It's too well done. It doesn't look like the earliest thing that'd be written in this. So we can assume that there's at least a couple hundred years development before the Vimosa comb. And we would assume that anyway, because you should never assume that you found the very earliest thing written in a language or in its alphabet. But on top of that, when you look at early Elder Frutic inscriptions, you don't see a consistent direction of writing. You don't see a consistent left to right like you do in the Roman alphabet. You see a lot of left to right, a lot of right to left, but also a lot of boustrophodon, meaning that you have the writing starting in one direction, let's say left to right. You go left to right, you hit the edge of your writing surface, a rock, a tablet, whatever, and you turn around and you go right to left. And you kind of snake your way across the page. It's called boustrophodon writing. And in boustrophodon, the letters don't always face the same way. If you're going left to right, say you've got an R, the R has a forward-pointing edge, but the R is reversed when it's going right to left. That is very characteristic of early Greek alphabets too. In fact, some of our earliest inscriptions in the Greek alphabet, or a Greek alphabet, again, try not to make it sound like it's just one, go right to left or go boustrophodon. So the timeline is still weird if you want to say that this is derived from a Greek alphabet from the period when the Greek alphabet was in flux, right? The 700s BC to maybe 400 BC. It's still, that's weird. This seems too early. But I think that a very possible hypothesis, and this is my own pet idea about it, is that an early variant of the Greek alphabet was picked up by an East European people that was in trading contact with both the Greeks and a Germanic-speaking people, perhaps the people ancestral to the Goths, and that they passed to this Germanic-speaking people a version of the Greek alphabet that had already been modified a little bit by them for whatever their language was. I think that's a very plausible scenario, but of course it's unprovable without some documents or inscriptions in this middleman language. It's possible the middleman language could have been Etruscan or another language spoken in northern Italy at this time. We have to remember that even in the late, even at the end of the first millennium BC, not even all of Italy was Latin speaking. There were still presumably Etruscan speakers in the north, as well as speakers of Oscan, Umbrian, and even some other non-Indo-European languages besides Etruscan in the far north, like Radic. It could have been one of these. People have noted some similarities between runes and some North Italic versions of the Greek alphabet, derivations of the Greek alphabet. That's certainly plausible, but I don't see any one of those alphabets that actually resembles the runic alphabet particularly closely. So I haven't bought into the idea that it must have been one of these North Italic variants or the Etruscan variant. So my personal belief, and again, not everybody agrees with me, is somewhere, let's say the 400s BC, an Eastern European people lost to history perhaps, or their language lost to history, adapted a variant of the Greek alphabet that was still, and with the Greek alphabet still very much in flux, with the writing order not decided upon. They adapted a version of that alphabet with some Western Greek alphabet features, like the R with an extra leg. They adapted a version of the Greek alphabet with a digamic. They modified it for their own purposes. They might be the ones who changed the order. And a Germanic-speaking people who were in a trading relationship with them adopted that alphabet from them, and that became the earliest form of the runic alphabet, the Elder Futhark. Well, I hope this has been an interesting or informative discussion of this problem for you. If you enjoy these videos made in beautiful places for free, and I make them for free because I don't think that knowledge should be locked in an ivory tower or just left to the Wikipedias and public domains of the world, I hope you'll check out my Patreon. I've got a great community going there, which also has an integrated Discord forum now, which has been a great way for people to meet other people interested in the study of Old Norse, Norse mythology, runes, and lots of other things. And I have more than 200 videos on this channel that explore more questions like this. I encourage you to check those out, as well as my translations of the Poetic Edda and the Saga of the Volsungs. Audiobook version of the Poetic Edda narrated by me is coming before too long, as well as my translations of the Saga of Hervor and Haetheric and the Saga of Rolf Kraki, as well as the Prose Edda eventually. And for now, from beautiful Colorado, let me wish you all the best.